Hey, what's going on, Who That Nation? It is yours truly, TJ Jones, the host of the State of the Saints podcast. Thank you so much for checking out the State of the Saints podcast, where we talk New Orleans Saints. And on this edition, we're going to be talking about wide receiver Michael Thomas being out for the season. Now, for those that may not know, Michael Thomas came out social media and announced that he will be out for the remainder of the season after a setback with his ankle. And a lot of members of the Who That Nation aren't too happy with Michael Thomas. People are really frustrated about Michael Thomas. The fact that Michael Thomas hasn't really played in almost 2 seasons. I mean, we're going on about 2 years, and Michael Thomas has been dealing with the same ankle injury. Michael Thomas looked like he was on a trajectory coming back a little bit, probably in a week or two, but didn't happen that way. Some people are speculating and saying that Michael Thomas decided to sit out for the remainder of the season after the season-ending injury that quarterback Jameis Winston sustained against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But I don't believe that. I don't believe that Michael Thomas decided to phone it in after Jameis Winston went down. I think that Michael Thomas is a fierce competitor. I think that he really wanted to be on the field, but he wanted to be 100%, and there's nothing wrong with that. This guy understands that he, wants to be at 100% to go and hit the field. He understands that, dealing with that nagging injury, I mean, it can be one of those things where, it can mess you up long term. And this doesn't surprise me at all, man. Every doctor that I talked to talked about the deltoid injury that he sustained and how it can linger. So that wasn't a surprise to me at all. Michael Thomas is definitely missed with the New Orleans Saints offense. The guys have really stepped up. The Saints have really been living under the moniker of the next man up mentality. But Michael Thomas not being out there on the field, you can really tell that the Saints miss him as a receiver. Other guys have stepped up. Deontay Harris has stepped up, as a downfield threat. Yeah, Marquez Callaway, who made some plays. You got other guys, Traquan Smith came for the touchdown versus Tampa Bay. So guys were indeed stepping up. I'm not one of those fans that feel like Michael Thomas, like he's a guy who quit on a team. I mean, I'm just watching some of these social media posts and people talk how they just like Michael Thomas and Michael Thomas a diva and Michael Thomas needs to be traded. And I don't fall into that, and I don't think anybody else should fall into it either. The Saints have really been dealing with some issues, with these players being down. Jameis Winston, being out for the season, and his ACL, some MCL, ligament damage as well. I mean, it's just been absolutely rough for the New Orleans Saints. It's been a tough out. I'm one of those people that believe that the New Orleans Saints, no matter what they do this season, I think we should just be happy that the team is going out there giving it its all. It definitely has become a season of very low expectations. I mean, anything the Saints do from this point on is nothing short of a miracle. If they go out there, they beat some of the top tier NFL teams, or they even make it to the playoffs. You have to say that Saints are just, riding a lightning bolt. Sean Payton, to me, if the Saints go to the playoffs, he should be coach of the year. I really believe that. I said that at the beginning of the season. I feel like he would be coach of the year. And I just think that the media, this does not give this team credit for being well coached. This is a well coached football team. And, really ticked me off last week versus the game against Tampa Bay. When the Saints beat Tampa Bay, it just seems like all the media people are talking about how Tampa didn't have this, Tampa didn't have cornerbacks, Tampa didn't have AB. I'm like, well, god dang, what I'm saying? What did the Saints have? The Saints didn't have any wide receivers, that were, starting wide receivers. They were undrafted free agents, unproven guys, running back. They had to trade for Mark Ingram. That was his first week back. You got all these other issues that the Saints have been dealing with. All the players that are starters being out, getting back, and all of a sudden Tampa Bay, they are the ones that were really behind the eight ball. I just don't believe that nonsense. I just think that just the media just don't want to admit to themselves that they were wrong. And they thought that Tampa was going to come to New Orleans and just go out there and handle their business and slap around New Orleans. And boy, were they wrong. But what should the New Orleans Saints do? No Michael Thomas, no Jameis Winston. I did believe that the New Orleans Saints should have went after Odell Beckham, which they did. But it seemed like between the Saints and Cleveland, they couldn't come up with some type of deal. But it looks like Cleveland is going to have to release Odell Beckham anyway. So the way I look at it, the Saints need to wait for Odell Beckham Jr. To get released. And I would be one of the first people in line trying to get Odell Beckham Jr. Look, the Saints need some help at wide receiver. No disrespect to any one of those guys, but if the Saints are going to make a run at the playoffs, they ain't going to be able to make it with what they got in the room. I mean, maybe you can win a couple games, but it's not going to get you far. You got some guys out there that are willing to go all out, and I appreciate that. But when you are behind the eight ball at the quarterback position and you're behind the eight ball at the wide receiver position, if you have a quarterback, then a quarterback, if he's good enough, he can make those wide receivers that are lacking, he can make them better than what they are. But what do you do if you have a quarterback that's lacking and a wide receiver room that's lacking? So the Saints definitely have to go out there and try to get somebody. They can make a game of any game because of their defense, but they can run at the playoffs. You're definitely going to have to do some things differently at the wide receiver position. Jameis Winston injury, that was huge, man. I feel so bad for Jameis because no matter what side of the coin you were on, whether you wanted Jameis Winston to succeed or you didn't want him to succeed, you have to admit that he was a guy that gave it his all. He was a really good teammate, and he was one of those guys that it was hard not to like. I think most people that didn't like Jameis Winston probably was looking at what he did at Florida State or probably some of the things that he did in Tampa. But what you can say is when he was in the Saints uniform, he was a pro's pro. And I have nothing but respect for Jameis Winston. But, he tore his ACL and had some MCL damage. And it's going to take a while for him to get back. But I believe that Jameis Winston is going to be able to get back. I think that he's going to come back. He's going to be 100%. And it seems like he's in good spirits. I mean, we seen after the Saints victory over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, he was dancing in the locker room. He was happy. He was satisfied. And, it seems like it's very hard to try to get a guy like that done. As far as Mark Ingram, I'm excited that Mark Ingram is back in the Saints uniform. He definitely delivered a spark, and he brought something back to the Superdome I thought was missing for a very long time. I think the New Orleans Saints and the Superdome were known for, being loud, being crazy, and feeding off one another. I feel like there was something that was missing in the Superdome over the past few games, but for the first time in a long time in that game versus Tampa, I felt like the New Orleans Saints and the Superdome were aligned once again. The Superdome felt like the Superdome. It was wild. It was crazy. People were excited. Loud. I'm saying? It was hard for Tampa to do anything. And the Saints fed off that energy. So it was good to see that. I don't like seeing Mark Ingram in number 14. That's a little bit weird. But the carries that he did have, he brought a lot of energy, and that's something that has been missing. And that's something that the Saints are going to need down the stretch. They're going to need that leadership. They're going to need that spark in some of those games that are going to be tough, and they're going to have to rely on a running game in order to get them over. But what do you all think? What do you think about Michael Thomas' injury? What do you think about some of the issues going on with the New Orleans Saints? Comment down below. Like and share this video. Thank you so much for checking out the State of the Saints podcast. Really do appreciate it. Check out previous episodes on iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Anchor FM. Till next time, all I got to say is, who dat?